Agyascha shraddhadhanascha.
Akyascha Shraddha Dhanascha
Samshayatma vinashyati.
Samshyat
Samshayatma
Atma
vinashyati.
Vinashyati
Nayam lokosti na paro.
Nayam Lokosti Na Paro
Na sukham samshayatmanaha.
Na
Na
Sukham
sukham
Sanshayatmana.
samshayatmanaha.
Okay. Any volunteers who would like to read the translation and purport? Okay, I can read the translation. But ignorant and faithless persons who doubt the revealed scriptures do not attain God consciousness. They fall down. For doubting soul, there is happiness neither in this world nor in the next. So we'll discuss more about it. But let's first complete the purport. Anyone would like to read the purport?
Yes, I can read.
Please.
Purport. Out of many standard and authoritative revealed scriptures, the Bhagavad Gita is the best. Persons who are almost like animals have no faith in or knowledge of the standard revealed scriptures, and some, even though they have knowledge of or can cite passages from the revealed scriptures, have actually no faith in these words. And even though others may have faith in scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, they do not believe in or worship the personality of Godhead. Sri Krishna, such persons cannot have any standing in Krishna, cannot have any standing in Krishna consciousness. They fail down. Out of all the above mentioned persons, those who have no faith and are always doubtful make no progress at all. Men without faith in God and His revealed word find no good in this world, nor in the next. For them, there is no happiness whatsoever. One should therefore follow the principles of revealed scriptures with faith and thereby be raised to be platform of knowledge. Only this knowledge will help one become promoted to the transcendental platform of spiritual understanding. In other words, doubtful persons have no status whatsoever in spiritual emancipation. One should therefore follow in the footsteps of great acharyas who are in the disciplic succession and thereby attain the success. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for reading. Okay, so what is happening in this shloka and in this section? Do you think Krishna is just telling that one should have blind faith? Just have faith? What is going on? Can somebody share? What is your understanding?
Oh, can I speak?
Yes, please, please.
So, what I understand from reading Bhagavad Gita is that devotion is not a sentiment. It is a very fact based practice. It is not like, loving without any reason. And if you read Bhagavad Gita, you will know like why. Like if you read, I mean, we don't have time to read all the scriptures. So Bhagavad Gita is like, is a summary of the most scriptures, sorry, on how to live life and why Krishna, and it explains like who's the supreme personality of God and how like these demigods uh, were there, and what is the purpose of worshiping demigods versus like worshiping Krishna. And so it's not a sentimental practice. It is a very fact based, very intelligent and intellectual practice. This is what I understand.
Okay,
Can I,
great. Very nice. Very
can I
nice.
share
Yes.
something?
Yes, please. Please go ahead.
So from what I understand is, even if people, would you please mind telling your question one more time, please?
So, here in this particular section, it is mentioned about what is the condition of the faithless person. and
Right.
those who doubt. And in the previous shloka also, it was given how one who has the faith is able to get spiritual success. So my question was, is Krishna here just promoting blind faith? What exactly is going on?
No. Krishna is saying that if you do not have faith, or if you do not have if you do not believe in it, then even if you have knowledge of Bhagavad Gita or knowledge of any other thing, it does not matter. You really have that bhakti within you to be able to um, reach the transcendental position. That's what I understood.
Hare Krishna. Okay, great. Nice point. Anybody else? Okay. So let's see what topic Krishna was talking about in the previous shloka, and we will make a connection and discuss a little bit more here. So, Krishna was talking about what we discussed last week about this Divya Gyan, this transcendental knowledge, when one receives and applies in their life, what happens? They advance spiritually. They can see things how they are. They don't follow in blindly about whatever is coming around, and hence they don't fall into illusion. They can see through the eyes of the shastras or the scriptures. But then, to gain this knowledge or to gain any knowledge, first one has to put faith that, okay, this is something important, this is something valuable, this is something which will help me, and let me just understand it. So let's say if somebody goes to a school or a college or a professional course, medical, engineering, many times when they study the subject, it's not that everything immediately they can understand experimentally or prove it experimentally. They understand based upon the faith. Similarly, we have discussed in the past how when we board a flight or we board a train, we have the faith that, okay, even though we have not seen the pilot, we have the faith that this is good airlines. They must have checked that the pilot is well trained and is appropriately going to do his duty. The airlines must have checked that the flight which they have bought from Boeing or Airbus or wherever, those companies have made the plane properly and the maintenance people have maintained it. So we put that faith. That's not blind faith, that's a calculated faith. That's a faith based upon what we have seen or learned about the background of the airlines or the companies which make the plane, and so on and so forth. Similarly, when we read a book, a medical book or engineering book, we understand, we put faith in that, not based upon our experiment, but understanding, calculating that how this particular university or this particular, you know, professor who has written is knowledgeable in their fields. So similarly, when we come to spiritual life, we don't put blind faith. We have the calculated faith. We see what is knowledge given in the scriptures. We see so many things in the scriptures have been talking about, have come true, and they are sharing the wisdom. And when we accept it, apply it in our life, we see the difference, then we actually develop stronger faith, because now we know, oh, this is working for me. Just like if a person who's diseased goes to the doctor gives the medicine, the person puts some faith that, okay, this medicine is going to make me better. Then they take the medicine. And when they take the medicine makes them feel better. Their faith becomes stronger on the doctor. And they say, okay, other person also, hey, you also should go to that doctor if you're sick. So, like that, we can see that when we utilize this knowledge, we get benefit. We do it even more seriously and sincerely, and we share it with others that, hey, why should you also not get benefited by this? So here in this particular shloka, the point is mentioned about faith. And the last shloka was talking about faithful man who is dedicated to transcendental knowledge, who subdues his senses, is eligible to achieve such knowledge, and having achieved it, he quickly attains the supreme spiritual peace. But those who are ignorant and faithless, who doubt the revealed scriptures, do not attain God consciousness and they fall down. For doubting soul, there is happiness neither in this world nor in the next. So Krishna is telling the facts here. He's he's warning us just like a father would warn their children. Hey, be very careful when you are walking on this path because you can fall from here. It is very narrow or very steep or very thorny, whatever may be the risk. They explain. Similarly here, one of the aspect which is Krishna is explaining is that be faithful and you'll see how it will take you to the right path. Don't be faithless and astray, because many times people may take up to a particular process or a path, but they may not be able to stay there. They may not, they may be very impatient. They may just go astray, go away. So Krishna is warning against that, that if you want to get the happiness, peace, success spiritually, then stay with this divigyan and learn and apply in your life. If you see you do that, then you quickly attain the supreme peace. And for those who do not, they actually are not able to get happiness neither in this life nor in the next. Does it make sense? So I think all of you shared wonderful realization in the same context. Anybody would like to ask any questions or share some more insight to this?
I have a question, if
Please.
it's okay to ask. So what is the difference between, although I think I have some perception, but what would be the exact difference between blind faith and calculated faith?
Yeah, that is an excellent question. Let's see who can answer this. So, what is the difference between blind faith and calculated faith? Do you want to share first? And I'll add on to it.
Um, I would say blind faith is whatever you are told or whatever the way you interpret. A calculated faith, it would be if you are in the right spiritual company and you are guided in a right way and you are reading out of Bhagavad Gita, but explained by the people who have expertise in that, then and you are doing it with bhakti. So those would be my interpretation of calculated faith versus blind faith. I don't know.
That's an excellent answer, actually. That's an excellent answer. I think that's great. The only thing I would add is the name itself says blind faith, which means you're not questioning it. When we read the Bhagavad Gita or we trying to understand Bhagavad Gita, we are using our intelligence. We are asking questions. We are trying to understand. We are not going deeper into it. We are not just taking a superficial interpretation or something just told or said and we just blindly accept it. What we do is we understand it. This is actually called as studying and internalizing the essence of the knowledge. So when we know the essence, then we can apply it in different situations. I'll give you a very simple example, very interesting one actually. So when India was getting independence, or rather when India was still under British Raj, British control, British rule. So at that time, Mahatma Gandhi and others, freedom fighters, they were basically talking, finding out their own ways, how to get the Britishers go out of India. And one of the measures they said is that we have to be self-sufficient and not dependent, not buy what is made by the Britishers.
So one of the ways was to wear khadi. So anybody who's going to be wearing khadi, it is showing that okay, this is khadi is made within our country. We'll wear khadi, and khadi will be a sign that one is actually promoting, uh, you know, supporting Gandhiji or supporting freedom struggle. Those kind of things. So one set of followers of Gandhi will say, okay, Gandhiji says khadi, so I will wear khadi. That's it. Now 70, 80, 90 years now gone after Mahatma Gandhi, or 70, more than 75 years gone after independence. You know, there will be two set of followers of Gandhi. One will say that okay, Gandhiji said khadi because of a reason, that it means, we have to be self-reliant, self-sufficient. So we should be self-sufficient even now. So doesn't necessarily means khadi. I can show that in different spheres. Uh, but another set of followers, they'll say is no, Gandhi means khadi. He said to wear khadi. If we don't have khadi in India, we will import it from outside, but we'll wear khadi. That is the real thing. So this is how a blind follower or blind faith person will act. They will forget the actual essence of the principle, but they'll stick to the letter of the law, forget the principle behind the law. While those who actually understand the essence of the law, why it is actually there, how to apply it in different situations, they actually know the principles, and they'll be able to apply in different situations. And they are the ones who have the faith, calculated faith, and not blind faith. Does it make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji. That's what's good. Thank you.
Thank you. Very nice question. Okay, anybody else? Anybody else would like to ask or share, or any insight want to give to this particular question? Okay, great. So seems like everybody is clear on this. We'll go to the next shloka. Yoga Sanyasta Karmanam
Yoga Sanyastu Karmana
Jnana Sanchinna Samshayam
Jnana Samchinna Samshayam
Atmavantam Na Karmani
Atmavan Karmani
Nibdhananti Dhananjaya.
Nibdananti Dhananjaya.
Sanjaya.
Okay. Any volunteers who would like to read?
I can read.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
One who acts in devotional service, renouncing the fruits of his actions, and those whose doubts have been destroyed by transcendental knowledge, is situated factually in the self. Thus he is not bound by the reactions of work, O conqueror of riches. One who follows the instruction of the Bhagavad Gita as it is imparted by the Lord, the personality of Godhead, becomes free from all doubts, and by the grace of the transcendental knowledge, he, as a part and parcel of the Lord, in full Krishna consciousness, is already established in self-consciousness, self-knowledge.
Self-realization, knowledge.
Self-knowledge, just as he is undoubtedly above bondage to action.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. So many times people wonder why bad things happen to good people and how to come out of such entanglement. Basically, it is a big topic, but in short, we have to figure out how to come out of the karma bandhan, because of so many karmas performed in so many lifetimes, the reactions are still lingering on. So two things we have to do. First thing, now we have to start doing a karma, and we have to
take away, basically not accumulate any more karma, and burn out all the karma which we have already have in our account. And this is what we have discussed before also, that this Divya Gyan, the transcendental knowledge, when we accept it and with devotion and detachment, renouncing the fruits of action, we conduct our actions and practice a karma, then we are actually able to come out of all these reactions of karma. So many reactions which were going on for so many lifetimes, they all get burnt off. And one is not entangled then. One actually is a liberated person. One, many times in uh, Vedic culture, people talk about moksha or mukti. Basically, moksha or mukti can be achieved when one comes out from karma bandhan and one is liberated. And that happens when one practices this process. And that is not um, rare, but it's something which is just like anybody who enrolls in school ultimately graduates after a few years getting the training. So anybody who continues the process is able to graduate, they can go to college, they can do studies, they can do PhD. Similarly, anyone who takes to this process, stays in this process, can actually perfect it. Give me one quick second, just one quick second. Sorry about that. So one can actually, um, one doesn't have to die for becoming liberated. One can actually get liberation within this life. And that person is called as Mukta Purush. That person is actually not entangled, is liberated. Even that person may go through a situation where we feel like that person is very ordinary, but those people are not ordinary. Like Prahlad Maharaj. So many times we took his example. 5-year-old boy, very relatable. He did not show any extraordinary magic or anything by himself. It's not that he produced gold or produced any, fire or produced something to kill anybody. No, nothing. Everything was arranged by the Lord. Why? Because he was completely dedicated to the Lord. So he's an example of a liberated personality. So, like this, we see there are so many examples. Pandavas had to go through so much trouble. Kunti Maharani, their mother, she actually had to go so much, difficulty, but they were dedicated to the devotion of the Lord. That is how an exemplary devotee is. No matter happiness comes, distress comes, one is focused on serving the Lord, and therefore that person is eligible for liberation. So that is um, very, very important to understand that this knowledge can bring us out of all the suffering we are going through for so long. Um, we all have had suffering for some time in the back, in the past. We may or may not remember, and we may be having suffering even going on right now. We may or may not realize it, but we have an opportunity, a perfect opportunity to get out of all the suffering. So why not utilize that and take to this process and give it a chance? Because so many lifetimes we gave so many other things a chance, especially enjoying the senses. If you see any of the animals, they are also engaged in how to satisfy my tongue, how to satisfy, different senses. But only in the human form, one has this intelligence to control the senses, but focus on the higher spiritual science and to connect and re-establish this relationship with the Lord. We have discussed this in the past, but also worth mentioning here that because of uncontrolled some senses, we see many examples of
living beings dying, like uh, a moth. Scriptures talk about an example of a moth. A moth sees fire or light, and how the moth wants to go and get mesmerized by that light, just gets attracted and has to go in there. And when it's fire, many times these moths they get burnt. Like if you see uh, in candle and stuff, if there are moth around, many times you'll see uh, these insects dying nearby. This day and age, especially in America, it's hard to find that. But in India, in our childhood, we used to see when such an environment was there, how these moths were insects, they were wanting to be in that light. And because of uncontrolled senses, it actually was fatal for them. So, like that, there are so many examples we've discussed in the past um, of different living entities. But humans have multiple senses, which, if uncontrolled, can actually be deadly, can be destructive. Lust, greed, anger, envy, pride, illusion are the six enemies because of which almost all the crimes are happening in this world. If these six enemies are controlled and eradicated, we'll not have any criminals. The world will be so peaceful, and no rules, no regulations will be able to overcome these anarthas. But practicing spirituality like Bhagavad Gita and Vedic scriptures, that will help us take care of these anarthas. And that way, we can actually overcome and come out of such entanglements. All right. Any questions anybody has?
I have a question, but it's a maybe a little bit related to this topic.
Please go. Yes, you want to ask?
Like Pandavas,
Sorry,
they were like completely devoted.
can you
Can you hear me?
can you ask the question again? I'm sorry, your voice broke. I'm trying to figure out if there is a problem in my
Yeah.
network or
Can you hear me?
Here.
Can you hear me now?
uh, yes, Gitanjali, we are able to hear you intermittently,
Okay.
but in between your question, we could not hear. So can you repeat, please?
So my question was that Pandavas were like completely devoted to Krishna, and they had a lot of situations where which were not compatible. Like their everything was taken away, and they still did not want to fight because they were like devoted. They were like whatever is happening with them is with the mercy of Krishna. So in our life. No shit. What should we do? Like if we are in situation like this, where where our job is toxic, and like we are not paid like properly like other employees, should we just leave it to Krishna because we are devoted, or should we fight for it?
Hare Krishna, that's an excellent question. So the question is, for these great personalities, Pandavas and all, they were dependent on Krishna. So even if the miseries came, they just accepted it at Krishna's arrangement. So what should we do in our life when we have toxic job or situations where we have to go through? Just we take as Krishna's mercy or go forward? So my answer: Krishna has shown in the Mahabharata and the Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam how to be very practical. Krishna did not say actually to be passive and ignorant. No. When Arjun was trained by Dronacharya, after that, Krishna did not say that, okay, you are done. No. Krishna said, now you have to gain more knowledge. You have to get Divyastras. You have to go to the heaven, get all the weapons from them, and so on and so forth. Basically, Krishna was telling Arjun how to be the best in what he's doing. At the same time, Krishna did not prematurely encourage them to fight. When everybody was ready for fight, Krishna said, no, you should explore more options for peace. So Krishna said, send a Shanti Dut. So previously somebody else went, and finally Krishna went himself as a peace messenger. But when none of these options worked out, then Krishna said, war is the only option. And again, when we see that in the Bhagavad Gita, in the Mahabharata, when Bhagavad Gita was about to be spoken, at that time Krishna was clear that we have already explored everything. Now this is the next step. But Arjun got confused now. Arjun got confused seeing the Bhishma Drona. So Arjun is kind of going back and forth. Previously, Arjun, Bhima were thinking, okay, we'll fight. But then Krishna said, no, no, not right now. Explore all the other options. And then when they explored everything, nothing worked out. Krishna said, okay, this is the next step now. You have to go to the next step. But now Arjun is feeling weak and not wanting to fight. So, Krish, basically, my point is that we have to use our intelligence in every situation, whether this is the time to fight or we have some other options to figure out how to go about it. If we have no other options, fighting also is not an option, then we accept it as Krishna's mercy. But if there are things which we could do in our own situation, which we feel is going to make things a little bit better for us, then we should do it. Now, for everybody, it may not be the same solution. Everybody is different. Krishna is telling to fight only to a Kshatriya. To a Brahman, Krishna will not say, go and fight. To a Vaishya, Krishna will not say, fight. It is only for the Kshatriya. So, similarly, we have to see our nature. Sometimes it may be better for somebody to just let go with what the situation is right now till the time it is becoming toxic or it is becoming not balanced for me. Then I say no, I have to explore other options, or I have to figure out whether I have to continue with this job or explore other jobs, or what to do. So I would not say that it's a same answer for everybody, because many times this can also happen that I may feel my situation is bad, but that is a feeling, that is a subjective feeling which may be happening because of so many situations. Objectively, if we have reasons, then we have to figure out and keep options open. Sometimes it may be better to just take it as Krishna's mercy and see the positives. And sometimes it may be important to explore other options and see if I could make my situation a little bit better so that I have more time for spiritual life, less time for, all the other things, and still have enough earnings to maintain my needs and my family and my duties, and also contribute with my resources and money for spiritual activities, to give donations, for example, or other charities or others. So all of these have to be taken into considerations before we conclude. In some situations, it may be appropriate to continue, and in some situations, it may not be. So it will be more. I think it will be more specific for different people and may need just one-to-one discussion rather than discussing as a general principle here with the team of devotees. Okay, great. Anything you would like to uh, share, Geeta Mataji, on this, or does it answer your question?
It does answer. I think like one-to-one counseling will be better. Like
Yeah, yeah, it's more specific for a particular situation.
Okay.
All right, great. Thank you. So we'll go to the next shloka, 42. This is the last. Yes, yes. Somebody sharing something?
Yeah, based on what you said, a question came up into my mind, if I may ask.
Yes,
It may
please.
not be directly linked to the problem, but based on your answer, I just had a follow-up question on that. So you mentioned that it is not into everybody's nature to react in a similar way. So, for example, in the group context, like Brahmins are, Krishna is not saying that Brahmins are going to fight, but Kshatriyas are going to fight, and so on and so forth. So there is a role division, which of course balances our society. But on the other hand, society also labels people. So when you don't fight, then society would say, oh, look at that person, so soft, so calm, never have the fighting attitude. But on the other hand, there are some people who will be fighting. Or, like you said, Kshatriyas have been entitled with that role. So, if they are always reactive, then probably by the societal call, they will endure the label that, oh, don't, they're scary people, don't even go near to them. So what does Gita's message to it? So how can we bind it with our spirituality that, well, no, it's just the karma that they're doing or they're assigned to. Nobody is bad or good here. It's just the role that they are playing based on the conscious thinking of the situation. So I don't know if my question is clear.
Yeah. It's not 100% clear to me, but let me share some aspects that may help in clarifying the doubt. Okay. So when I say different people are different, and when I say Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, so that's based upon their nature and occupation. So in our life, things are very jumbled, right? We may be having a nature of a Kshatriya, but then, we may be a teacher. But teaching is the job of more of a, peaceful Brahmanical person. Or maybe I'm having a Vaishya mentality, business mentality, but then I'm having, to to work for causes where I'm actually cheating and making money. So those are inappropriate, uh, in terms of doing things. I'm not earning enough, and I want to earn, and I'm, having to be in a situation where I have to resort to cheating people. So that's not appropriate. The way the society was structured was that Kshatriyas are not supposed to fight, but the Kshatriyas are supposed to protect. And for protection, they can use violence. Brahmins can fight, but their fighting used to be based upon debates to actually nullify and attack the wrong conceptions or the wrong understandings, the wrong principles. So their fight was based upon the knowledge of scriptures. Vaishyas, their fight was not the same as Kshatriyas with the Astra Shastra, but they would actually fight to establish and have a more competitive product in the market where their uh, dominance is there in terms of business. So different, and their fight is actually for protection of cows. So Vaishyas, they also do cow protection. So Kshatriyas do protection for everybody. Vaishyas, they had their duty. So this is a little bit brief about what the duties were. Now, in today's day and age, whether people say something, if that is my concern, that may not be very difficult for us to um, address if our focus changes, right? If our focus changes to seeing whether I am doing the right thing or not, then I will not be so much bothered about what people are saying, because people will say no matter what, right? There's a famous story where a teenager boy, maybe about 15 years or so, and his father and a donkey, all three of them were walking. And from one village, they're crossing, villagers were laughing. Hey, see, these are idiots. Have donkey with them, going for a big journey, but they're not utilizing donkey to sit on him. And they're just walking. The next village, before they reach the next village, they say, actually, it's a good idea. Let's both of us sit on the donkey. They both sat on the donkey and they were going next village. He said, oh my God, poor donkey. They are going so far away, and they're both of them, putting all their weight on the donkey. Poor donkey. They don't have any compassion. So then the father said, okay, let me get down. You stay in the donkey. So the son is in the donkey. The son is 15, 16 years old, so big. And the father is walking. The next village, they said, "Oh my God, this boy, this he's so fit, so strong. Poor dad is to walk, and he's sitting on the donkey. Doesn't have even manners." So then the boy said, "No, no, dad, you have to sit on the donkey. I will walk." And then he forced the dad to sit. Now dad is on the donkey, and the next village they said, "My God, the small child is walking, and the father himself has, he doesn't feel compassionate on the son, and he's himself sitting on the donkey. My God, cruel father." So like this, they figured out, oh my God, if we focus on what people are saying, then we can never win. We will always be slaves of other people's tongue. And we don't want to do that. We are not slaves of other people's tongue. We have to decide what is the right thing and do the right thing rather than thinking too much about what people will think. So that is how, we have to kind of train our conception of seeing what is the right and appropriate thing, focusing on that and doing that rather getting too much involved in how can I impress other people. Does it make sense?
Yes, yes, Prabhuji. Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else would like to share anything on this? Give me 1 second. Okay, yeah. All right. So we can go to the next shloka. Tasmat ajnana sambhutam
Tasmadajnanasambhutam
Samputam
kritstam jnanasinatmanaha
Ritsam
yatsam
Gyanatsminatmanaha
jnanasinatmana
chitvainam samshayam yogam
Chitvenam
Chitvenam
Samshayam
samshayam
Yogam
yogam
atishthotishth bharata.
Atishto
adishto
Tishta
bharata.
Bharata.
Any volunteers who would like to read the translation of it for this one?
I can read. Nobody
Please.
has to read. Okay. Therefore, the doubts which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge. Armed with yoga, O Bharata, stand and fight. Purport. The yoga system instructed in this chapter is called Sanatana Yoga, or eternal activities performed by the living entity. This yoga has two divisions of sacrificial actions. One is called sacrifice of one's material possessions, and the other is called knowledge of self, which is pure spiritual activity. If sacrifice of one's material possessions is not dovetailed for spiritual realization, then such sacrifice becomes material. But one who performs such sacrifices with a spiritual objective or in devotional service makes a perfect sacrifice. When we come to spiritual activities, we find that these are also divided into two, namely, understanding of one's own self. I lost it. Under, uh, understanding, where was I? And okay, namely understanding of one's own self or one's constitutional position and the truth regarding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who follows the path of Bhagavad Gita as it is can very easily understand these two important divisions of spiritual knowledge. For him, there is no difficulty in obtaining perfect knowledge of the self as part and parcel of the Lord. And such understanding is beneficial, for such a person can easily understand the transcendental activities of the Lord. In the beginning of this chapter, the transcendental activities of the Lord were discussed by the Supreme Lord Himself. One who does not understand the instructions of the Gita is faithless and is to be considered to be misusing the fragmental independence awarded to him by the Lord. In spite of such instructions, one who does not understand the real nature of the Lord as the eternal, blissful, all knowing personality of Godhead is certainly fool number one. Ignorance can be removed by gradual acceptance of the principles of Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is awakened by different types of sacrifices to the demigods, sacrifice to Brahman, sacrifice in celibacy, in household life, in controlling the senses, in practicing mystic yoga, in penance, in forgoing material possessions, in studying the Vedas, and in partaking of the social institution called Varnashrama Dharma. All of these are known as sacrifice, and all of them are based on regulated action. But within all these activities, the important factor is self realization. One who seeks that objective is the real student of Bhagavad Gita, but one who doubts the authority of Krishna falls back. One is therefore advised to study Bhagavad Gita or any other scripture under a bona fide spiritual master with service and surrender. A bona fide spiritual master is in the disciplic succession from time eternal, and he does not deviate at all from the instructions of the Supreme Lord as they were imparted millions of years ago to the Sun God, from whom the instructions of Bhagavad Gita have come down to the earthly kingdom. One should, therefore, follow the path of Bhagavad Gita as it is expressed in the Gita itself and beware of self interested people after personal aggrandizement who deviate others from the actual path. The Lord is definitely the Supreme Person and his activities are transcendental. One who understands this is a liberated person from the very beginning of his study of Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna.
Hey Krishna, thank you so much for reading. A little bit long paragraph here, Purport, but it covers, practically the summary of this chapter, the important points which we have discussed. So Krishna is concluding here by saying that one has to destroy the doubts. How to destroy the doubts? By knowledge. What weapon do you use for destruction of doubts? The knowledge is the weapon. And this particular Divya Gyan, transcendental knowledge, this is helping us to connect with God. So this is yoga. Yoga means to connect. So armed with this yoga, stand and fight. So this is one of the few shlokas where Krishna is bringing Arjun back to his practical situation of doing his duty. And what is that? For him, it is to fight. Prabhupada, the purport is explaining here that this yoga system is called as Sanatan Yoga or eternal yoga. This knowledge is going on forever. If somebody says, "Oh, how old is Bhagavad Gita?" Bhagavad Gita is eternal. The knowledge of Bhagavad Gita was given to Arjun 5,000 years ago, but the same knowledge was given to Sun God millions of years ago. So the knowledge of Gita is actually eternal and therefore it's Sanatana Yoga. Give me 1 second, just 1 second. Hare Krishna, am I audible? Hare Krishna?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. Yes. So this is Sanatan Yoga, and there are two divisions in this chapter. We had discussed previously how sacrifice of one's material possession, where it was about charity and Dravomay Yagya, Tapomay Yagya, Danmay Yagya, all those sections which we were talking about. So he's saying one aspect is focused on sacrifice of material possessions, and the other on self, knowledge of self, where one is actually focused on spiritual growth, pure spiritual activities. So the sacrifice of material things also has to be done with knowledge. That is going to help us advance spiritually, not otherwise. And therefore, in future, Krishna will talk about different kinds of charities, how which is in the mode of goodness, passion, ignorance. So we'll come to that later. But here the focus is that how we should use it in knowledge to advance spiritually. And then in knowledge of self, one has to know one own self and the Supreme Lord and the relationship. And if one follows this process from the Bhagavad Gita, then one can advance spiritually. Um, Krishna explains how we are part and sorry, Prabhupada is sharing here how we are part and parcel of Krishna, and we, if we understand the transcendental activities of the Lord, then we are able to get promoted to His abode. We don't have to take birth again. And then Prabhupada is sharing this is going to happen if one has faith in the knowledge of Gita. For faithless, they will have to suffer, they will have to wait. They cannot advance spiritually. And then Prabhupada says that some people, in spite of the instructions, may not understand the nature of the Lord because they are actually not having the faith. And therefore, they are moodha. Krishna will tell this in the 7th chapter. They are moodha. Prabhupada is telling us here only. Fool number one. That is what is moodha in Sanskrit. So, how, if somebody is moodha, how can they become uh, advance? The process is by accepting the principles of Krishna consciousness. So in this day and age, everybody is practically foolish only, you know. But anybody who takes to the process of Bhagavad Gita, they can advance. And then there are different sacrifices Prabhupada is mentioning here. Sacrifices can be to the devatas, demigods, or to the Brahman, or one can be brahmachari, celibate, or one can be householder, engaged in family duties. One may be controlling the senses. One may be performing Ashtanga yoga or mystic yoga, or doing material possessions or study of Vedas. These are different engagements people may be having, but if they are able to do it in Krishna consciousness, then they will advance. And that was the purpose of Varnashrama Dharma. When we say Varnashrama Dharma, that means that one may be engaged in occupation of Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, or one may be Grahastha, Brahmachari, Vanaprastha, or Sannyas. No matter what Varna, what ashram they may be, they are doing their duties in the way which will help them advance towards Krishna, towards God. And if one is incorporating the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, they can do it properly. Otherwise, they will get stuck. They will not be able to advance if they are not utilizing this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. And how to utilize it? By understanding it from bona fide sources, from the right sources. Krishna tells in the 34th shloka that we should approach a learned, spiritual, realized person and learn from them. And when we get knowledge from them, then we can advance. That's what happened when Prabhupada came to America. These many of these hippies or people in America, they were not really having any qualification, but because they came in touch with a pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada, advanced spiritual master, they themselves got transformed. And many of them, Prabhupada picked them up from ordinary people and trained them to become perfect spiritual masters. And that is the potency and the power of such an advanced devotee like Prabhupada, who can transform an ordinary rock to diamonds, most precious diamonds. That's what Prabhupada did. And Prabhupada was not a magician who did it. He did it by the strength of Bhagavad Gita. It is the Bhagavad Gita which transforms. And we can see in our life, if we read Bhagavad Gita, practice Bhagavad Gita, we will see how our hard hearted heart can actually become so pure and advanced. So, this is a process which we can ourselves taste how strong and powerful the process is. Then Prabhupada is saying that the same knowledge which is going on for millions of years was given to Sun God and has come down to earthly kingdom now can be learned by us, and we can advance spiritually by this. Um, and if one is advanced, then they don't actually take pleasure uh, in advance, like in promoting themselves. They focus on promoting Krishna. That is their focus. That's why you see Hare Krishna may be heard by so many people, but not so many people know Prabhupada, because Prabhupada never focused on making him famous. He always focused on making Krishna famous. But because Prabhupada did that, now Krishna is making arrangements that everybody can also hear about Prabhupada, who actually has made Krishna famous all over the world. Otherwise, Krishna was famous in India for so long, but not all over the world. But now, by the sincere efforts of one person and his followers, we see so many people all over the world have benefited from this science. So, this is the arrangement of Krishna and the acharyas who have come in the past. So, this way we can understand and perfect our life by the study and application of this Divya Gyan or transcendental knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so I think we'll stop here. I think we have crossed our time, but thank you so much, everyone, for your active participation and sharing your realization and asking nice questions. Anybody would like to make any final comments or points before we conclude? All right. I hope these sessions have been of benefit to the devotees who are joining, all of you. And I'm hoping that soon we can have a quiz. I was actually thinking maybe we can have a quiz on the 4th chapter tomorrow, but I think I will give some more time and we can probably do it next week. What do you guys think? Should we do a quiz on this 4th chapter next week? It'll give a chance for everybody to study this week, read a little bit, just whatever, watch some videos, which most of them I've tried to upload. Some are still pending. Yeah, somebody's saying something.
Yeah, I was saying, should we do a review session before that?
Yeah, we can do a review session. Yeah. So let's see, maybe next Sunday, or I'm planning to do a review session tomorrow also, briefly. But that is our Hindi conference. If any of you would like to join that, that'll be great. And then next Saturday or next Sunday, one of these 2 days at 11, we will do the quiz. And just before the quiz, also, just in a few minutes, I will do the review. Will that be okay?
Sure. Sure, Prabhuji.
Okay, great. So I'll post it in the group, and please share your availability, whether Saturday or Sunday, what day you want to have a quiz, and accordingly we can finalize. All right. Thank you so much. Karantraj Bhagavad Gita ki jai.
Sure.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Hare
jai.